I have vivid dreams these days because I stopped getting loaded. I don't drink or smoke weed anymore. And like ever since I stopped doing that, now every night
you're just raw dogging your entire life.
Yeah. So boring. But now I have these vivid dreams. It's like, it's crazy how little you dream when you're smoking like copious amounts of weed. Like you just don't dream, or at least I didn't.
That's true.
But,
yeah. When you smoke for a good while and then you stop for a week or take a tolerance break or whatever, one of the first things you notice is like, damn, I had weird dreams last night. Or not even weird as like bad, just like very vivid and active, because you're used to getting like a more dreamless sleep when you're smoking weed. Yeah. Which dreamless sleep can be good in its own way too.
I'm definitely sleeping a lot. Like this is the most regulated that my sleep cycle's been in my entire adult life. Like I get a solid 7.5, 8 hours of sleep, or I fall asleep around the same time, wake up around the same time. And I've never really had that in my adult life ever. And at the age of 40, I finally started doing
good
stuff.
for you, man.
I'm doing that right now too, but I'm just one good game release, like especially a multiplayer co-op type grindy game.
Oh, then it goes to shit. Yeah.
Like I go back to Rust because it's so addictive, and I try not to look at it.
Up there a bit, I think.
Well, that's single player though. That's me grinding on my own just for my own self. But if you and I and Woody were playing Rust, and it was like, yeah, Woody can't get on until 4, but I'm on noon till 6. I'm going to make sure Woody's got enough scrap when he logs on that he doesn't have to futz about. He needs to learn those blueprints. Like there would be work to do like that you would take seriously for hours at a time, and I love that shit.
Yeah, I'd
grinding, collecting resources, and organizing them in the base.
That's just too much effort.
Drugs came up a minute ago. Hutch, have you ever done Molly?
Oh yeah.
I have heard. I was briefly interested. I've never done it, and I was like, this seems like, I don't know, something I should check out. And then I heard that it's like borrowing your next 3 days of happiness, having it all tonight, and then fighting depression till the middle of the week. What's your opinion on that thought?
I think that's my experience wasn't like that. There's definitely a come down, and it's nice to have some cannabis or cannabis products like when you're doing the come down, because it just kind of helps to relax and everything. I don't think that's true. I don't think you're going to be fighting depression. Like you don't have to do a lot of MDMA. Like you can take a small amount and have a really good experience. If you do a lot of MDMA, then you're probably going to have like a rough like couple of days following. But if you do it in moderation, I don't think think that's going to be an issue. I don't know. Has anybody here tried Molly?
Yeah, I've done Molly. Like I never knew anyone who did it. Like I haven't done it since college, and I just did it like before. I think it was Skrillex like 2010 at Mizzou before that show. Or no, it was Pretty Lights. It was Pretty Lights 2010. That was an awesome show. I think it was awesome even with but I was on a bunch of Molly. And so like it's one of those drugs that like I bet it would fuck with you really badly if you're doing it all the time. But I didn't know anyone in my world who did it anytime other than like before a concert. And even then, like I never would have sought it out. It was like one of my buddies happened to have some. Was like, hey, take some of this before you go to the show and drink a bunch of water to stay hydrated. And
nobody can describe their high, right? It's just hard to put into words. But can you attempt what Molly does?
I was in a good mood, a fantastic mood. The music, like it could just be that the bass was so heavy and hard, but the energy was excellent there. There was no feeling of like crowdedness in the crowd and everybody jumping around and everything. Like I was literally that guy, one of the guys, because a lot of people are on Molly, I'm sure, where, there's the main core of people who are in front of the stage and Pretty Lights is playing and everything. And then there are the people like kind of off to the side in like a more open space, not directly in front of it. And they're just kind of going wild, vibing and dancing. I was one of those guys, not a lick of shame or embarrassment. I was feeling it. And I didn't, I just felt so good just dancing around. It was great.
It depends on if you have it on an empty stomach or a full stomach. So like if you take it on a full stomach, the come up might be a little bit protracted. Like it might take like an hour and a half. If you eat like 2 hours before you take it, I think that's technically ideal. What'll happen is like 30 minutes into it, you might feel like a little bit of anxiety. Like it'll feel kind of like, that's why they call it the come up. It's like a feeling of like anticipation, excitement, anxiety. And maybe you start getting kind of tingly, and then you're just, it's just a euphoric feeling. You love everybody around you. You know, you feel a sense of like connection. I think the original purpose of the drug was it was meant to help with like couples therapy. Like I think that was the original purpose for when the drug was
That makes sense.
developed. And now, of course, they're like, you probably already know, but they're experimenting with treating PTSD and depression, which I can totally.
They give it to
I
panda
can't
bears to try to
imagine
get them to
getting
reproduce.
like I can't imagine getting in an argument with someone in the space I was in at that concert. Like you're right, that was a good way to put it. Like you're just everybody's vibing and you're just getting along, having a fun time together.
And there's a bit of like body stuff too. Like your skin feels kind of tingly, so like that's why people will, you know, they'll like, a lot of people will like play with each other's hair and give each other massages. It's because like your physical sensations are heightened, but you're not high like if you smoke weed. It doesn't produce the same kind of. It's hard to explain because it's like you're high, but you're not high. It's like it is a very different. It's unlike marijuana. It's unlike alcohol. It's unlike cocaine. It's unlike, you know, LSD. It's very unique in that way.
Sounds like it's concentrated happiness.
Definitely.
It was a lot of fun. I wouldn't do it again.
Can you get it legally?
I don't think you can get it legally. I've never. It is a drug that like hasn't even been mentioned in any of my social circles like since college. Like I don't know anybody who.
I really want DMT.
it.
That's the next thing that I'm gonna like try to find a legal-ish way to do travel somewhere, whatever. I really want to see those goddamn gnomes or whatever, you know, and I want to get myself psyched up to see some scary shit before I do it. Like,
do you believe that they all see the same like alien creature, or do you think it's like they're all going into a trip experience and people are telling them what they're going to see and they're like planting a seed?
So I've seen a lot about this. I don't know the answer. I think that if you tell somebody, hey, let us know if you see the machine gnomes before they do DMT, then they're probably going to see some machine gnomes. I heard someone say once, maybe on Rogan, that we should find an uncontacted tribe and dose one of those motherfuckers and see what they see, because they haven't been influenced by anything that's in our world. And if they see the machine gnomes, then they're fucking real.
Wait, Woody, are you still doing the ketamine stuff? Because my audience said that you were doing ketamine therapy.
It ended though. I call it like 9 months ago. I don't remember when.
Did you do the thing where it's like 6 sessions or whatever?
Yes. Yeah. Mind Bloom.
So you did it at home?
Yeah.
Okay. And then and they have you like do a little check-in before, right? And then they make sure that there's somebody there to like monitor you. I looked into that because I was dealing with some,
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Did you want to finish?
No, that's
so there's 6 sessions. I knew nothing about this. Like I didn't have any experience. And for me, it was the right way to get started. I needed a tour guide. Other people, maybe you have friends who could guide you through it. And I was just trying to like work some shit out. So I, even before they like prescribed it, I was like, this is why I'm taking it. I'm trying to sort of sort some shit out, find some happiness and wellness. And they're like, cool. You seem like a fit. And they prescribed it to me. Don't get too caught up in the numbers, but I think this is about right. I think the initial dose was 450 milligrams or something. And I took it and I enjoyed it. And it was a good experience for me. Beforehand, they had me like take my blood pressure. They set you up. There's some nausea involved. So they give you, I bet Taylor knows. What is the name of the drug that cures
omeprazole?
Maybe, but
my guess for drug would have been weed.
Well, anyway, there's something that they take it in advance so that you don't get any nausea. Works perfectly. But my point in bringing that up is they really do this professionally. It's probably more expensive. You put this stuff under your tongue, you wait for like 7 minutes, and they give you the audio to listen to while you do it.
And a mask, right? A sleeping mask?
A high quality sleeping mask, a blood pressure guide. There's a therapist like sort of getting you all set up for it. They make sure that you have like a babysitter of some sort, to help you do this. But it's only for the first like 1 or 2 sessions. And then the other 4, you're completely independent, which I like. on the first one, I was happy to have the help. On the second one, it was sort of a quick check-in. Then after that, I'm a grown-up. Leave me the heck alone. I've learned. It's my third time. The first dose I said was 450, and then afterwards I was like, hey, it really worked. Like I got a good ride out of this, but you know how when you're like a little drunk, you can either lean into it or you can almost pretend you're sober, like if the officer's talking to you.
Okay.
That's how my 450 was. So they're like, all right, cool, 800 next time around. And then that became this like inescapable, you're going on this ride. There is no, you can open your eyes and pretend you're okay kind of thing. And
but it's pretty brief, right? Like 30 minutes, an hour. It's not that long of a trip, is it?
yeah, so an hour, I think it's an hour of the trip. And then afterwards, I'm still feeling it a little bit, but I journaled. And maybe you don't want that, but for me, that was really helpful. While I'm high, all my thoughts are just completely unencumbered by any second guessing. Every thought I have is an absolute winner, banger. You know, like this is how I fill my wife's bucket. This is what my son really needs from me. This is what my daughter, etc. And there is no, but what if? No. This is it. And then afterwards, I get to revisit these thoughts because I've journaled it, and it was really useful. I still look at them sometimes. I bet I've looked at them this month. You know, and it was a.
Did you get because I know that it has very acute effects in terms of relieving, and I don't know if were you dealing with depression or like sort of general malaise, that sort of a thing, or
yeah, call it mild depression, malaise. That works.
Okay. I was told that it immediately. I've talked to several people that have done it. It made them feel better like immediately, but it wasn't necessarily the case that was the case after like 2 weeks. Did you have long-term relief of the symptoms when you?
Yeah, I had the inverse of that. I would say that after the first dose, the next day I'm like still me, and then like after the sixth dose, I'm like, actually, you know, this has been really helpful for me. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you took it, and then it sounds like you really go into like a meditative state almost. What if you just watched Trailer Park Boys?
Then I think you'd get what you wanted from it, right? So what I did, I put on the mask. I used a weighted blanket. I had a scented candle. Like I really created my setting for me to sort of work stuff out. Just I wanted nothing but me and my thoughts. Boom.
Yeah.
But that doesn't sound like it's the experience you're going for. You're just going for a really great afternoon.
Yeah, we're having a good time. Yeah.
I think it would deliver that too.
Yeah. I don't know. Right now, DMT, 100%. I want to go to another place and see another thing. LSD, I've said it before, is slight alteration of what you have in front of you, which was the first time I'd ever experienced that. Every cartoon led me to believe that a beer would do it, that I'd see. And then every like stupid adult led me to believe that like marijuana would make me do it. And then finally I took a drug that made me see shit that wasn't there and make the shit that was there change colors and wiggle and jiggle. Let me take that back. I didn't see anything that wasn't there, but it made everything it was augmented reality. Everything that was there was changed. The moon, you know, late at night, full moon, and the clouds are moving quickly between you and the moon. Oh, that was fantastic to look at.
I feel like with LSD, the way that I would describe it is that everything turns into like vibrations. So when you look at a light source on LSD, you're not seeing necessarily like one kind of light source. You're seeing like a million diamonds that are kind of like breathing almost. And then sound. Like I remember I had like a box breathing too. Yeah. Or if you take a shower and you look down and like the water flowing and all that, like I remember listening to like a box fan when I was tripping my fucking face off on LSD, and I felt like I could hear the individual vibrations of like LSD is really you got to be careful with that drug though, because it is a really intense drug. Like you should have somebody kind of babysitting you.
Yeah,
like
we were all together taking it. Like 4 or 5 of us took it together.
Which one was the babysitter?
Somebody might have been sober. The thing was
the neighbor.
The
neighbor was
the local PD would have intervened if it got.
I think 1 or 2 of the guys only took like 2 hits of acid, and while you're tripping on 2, you're not. It's like 3 beers tripping. I don't know. You're not. You're still able to take care of everybody.
It's
I
still
took a whole
intense,
bunch.
but the real
Yeah.
ride is like 6 tabs. Then you're on the fucking
I have a question.
yeah.
So on LSD, I think I know the answer. You would never drive on that, right? That'd be a terrible
No.
decision. What about Molly? Because it sounds like you just concentrated happiness. Would
You
you
get pulled over, you're not going to be able to fake sober.
I'm
No.
not suggesting that
Your big old pupils.
I would never suggest that you ride a car after taking Molly. I don't think it would hinder you as much as LSD. Like,
What about pot? And I'm just using this as a.
I don't think it's a good idea to drive when you're high. A lot of people do it, but I don't think it's a good idea to do that.
Yeah,
personally.
I don't. I also. So, I have friends who are like Olympic level pot consumers, and they're fine. They fucking fly their paragliders, ride boats, dirt bikes. They feel like they're better at dirt biking when they're high. For me though, I don't. I'm completely sober and all that shit.
I usually don't buy the like, oh, it makes me better at working out. I'm a better athlete when I'm high. It's like, just say you want to be high while you're flying around like that.
I was better at
don't think
COD
it
when I smoked weed for sure. Like for 100% for sure.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I mean technically because I would be more immersed, like less distracted. So like maybe my reaction time was a little bit slower, but my game sense was better when I was smoking weed and playing COD for sure. And my chat would even tell you this because I would play like a few games sober and then I would smoke some weed and then it was like a thing. Yeah.
But the only thing I do better on weed is enjoy jokes and go to sleep. Those are the things that
I'm a better eater. When I'm high. I'm really good.
If we had a talent show or if I had to challenge you all, if we had a game of anything you can do, I can do better or something where I did a thing and then you had to copy
I'm
me.
Michael Jordan. You're Mia Hamm.
Yeah. It would be driving high.
If
I had to challenge you to do a thing, it would be to get high and then drive through heavy traffic and go to.
It couldn't even be a closed course. Oh no!
No.
Heavy traffic.
No, we're playing
ambulance behind you.
We're playing for keeps. I drove us through a fucking blizzard from Denver to Killington. I don't know what that distance is, and I don't know how long it took because I was so high that it was in a blizzard. You can look up the weather report and see the nightmare. No, God. No,
there was no way
not
you drove from
Killington.
Colorado to Vermont.
What's the fucking they named a car after it. It's the resort in Southern Colorado. The fancy schmancy ski resort, Southern Colorado. Telluride. Yeah, Denver to Telluride. It was like 4 or 6 hours or something down mountains. We were behind snow plows.
Those
laser focus.
Yeah, that's a hardcore twisty roads.
It was so fun.
The problem too is if you're a cop, it's like really hard to get people on that because it's like you can do like a blood test or it's like they don't really have like it's not the same with alcohol. You just blow into a breathalyzer. So
yeah,
but I don't know. I feel like have they done studies on like I mean obviously I think alcohol is going to impair you more if you're driving. I think that's
it's impaired driving though. I'll say this: the reason I would challenge you is because I've got a high tolerance, right? It just doesn't affect me as much mostly, and I'm used to being high a lot. But if you got high, you'd be panicking and worried and scared. You wouldn't be relaxed. You'd be fucked up. You'd get in trouble. I wouldn't recommend anybody smoke and drive. Like if you smoked for the first time and got behind the wheel of a car,
no, that's
crash.
A horrible idea.
You're gonna
or if you take like a dab, like a big old chunky dab.
The first time you the first time something like that would be the equivalent of like getting in an office chair and we spinning you a bunch of times and like throwing you behind the wheel. Like you'd just be everywhere.
Yeah.